symbol. I used to play drums, and I had a drum set set up in my garage in our basement, and I would play. And when someone would come in the room and you play a crash cymbal loud, it gets your attention and it is loud. But when it actually starts to get played over and over and over again, it quickly becomes really annoying. Unless of course you're the drummer who's just like in it, it can become like a very annoying, makes your ears ring. It becomes this kind of like exhausting sound, making someone probably wanting to leave the room. And Paul compares the sound of an ongoing cymbal to people speaking and to sharing maybe even a good thought, but a thought, and to speaking without love. Without love, words can become exhausting and meaningless. And we all have things that we want to say. When we speak, we want to be heard. And you guys might have like all sorts of good thoughts. Sometimes we can have even intellectual thoughts, helpful thoughts. But if we say those thoughts without love, they can begin to sound like this ongoing cymbal or this ongoing gong that don't carry any weight. Oh. And we see this incredible example, and Jesus sets the example of how we're to speak in love. Jesus, when he came to earth, he actually said some really offensive things. He said some hard things and intense things, but everything he said with purpose, and everything he said with the motivation of love for God and love for other people. And so we can follow Jesus in this. The second thing that Paul says is we can actually have knowledge. We can know a lot of things and have a great understanding, but not have love, and we are in trouble in that sense. He says this: if I understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith as to move mountains, but don't have love, I am nothing. The Bible talks about this word knowledge and knowing, and it actually says knowledge on its own can simply puff up. It can actually make us proud. Yeah. Knowing but not doing anything about it comes from a lack of love. What would we think if I was to tell you someone knew the cure for a certain kind of cancer and had the power to bring it about, to bring that change, but they actually didn't engage with any people and bring that to any people that need it? We feel like that's insane, doesn't make any sense at all, and it's heartless. And yet, we can observe that someone's hungry and not feed them. Some of us in this room would be able to stand up and fire off a bunch of stats about the impoverishment in the world. We could sound really good and yet not do anything to make a difference in that situation. That's good. Many of us know and understand many things, while rarely acting upon the knowledge that we have. But Jesus, again, is our perfect example in the fact that he knew everything, and Jesus understood everything and had the power to do anything. And he knew our problem. He knew our sin problem. Yeah. And he knew the solution to our sin problem. But he didn't just stay in the fact that he knew and he had the power to do something, but he actually came and did something. And in love, he sacrificed. But sacrifice is, interestingly enough, the third point tonight, that Paul says we can actually sacrifice and not have love. It's actually quite an interesting thought. He says this. He says, if I give away all I have and deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Pride says, me first. Look at what I've done, now give me something for it. But love says, you first. I sacrifice for the purpose of serving your need. Maybe you've heard this said before. I've sacrificed so much for this, or I've sacrificed so much for them and haven't gotten anything in return. But if in these instances it was actually a sacrifice for something or for them, then it was for them and not for our own gain. Yeah. It's possible in life to sacrifice with the hope of making ourselves look good or to feel better about ourselves. And when we love, and when love for God or other people is not our motivation, then we find that we actually gain nothing in the end. So even if we sacrifice. Christ, again, is the perfect example in this, in that he gave his life. He laid it down. But even he didn't just lay it down, but as he laid it down, he said these words, Father, forgive them, to his own murderers, saying they don't know what they do. So in conclusion tonight, when we speak and don't love, we exhaust. When we understand but don't act, we are useless. And when we sacrifice without love, we gain nothing. Revolution, live a life of love as Christ loved us. Yeah, good.